clear. Thank you, sir.
Megan Woods.
Well, Mr. Speaker, first they came for the paper boys, and then they came for the old people in the rest homes, and then they came for the woodwork teachers. I've been asked by the members opposite to change the record. I'd like to, but that would have required the government opposite to have delivered a budget that offered something. Instead, what we had was a budget that offered zero ideas, zero hope and zero opportunity. We have heard this afternoon about how this is a budget of investment in New Zealand, of opportunities for New Zealanders and a budget of innovation. Well, I don't think that when New Zealanders in 2008 fell for the line of a brighter future, they thought the National Party meant the Sunshine Coast. But that seems to be the opportunity for New Zealanders according to this national government. Because, ladies and gentlemen, last week we had a budget where young New Zealanders are paying the price for the government's deficit of ideas. And a deficit of ideas it is. It is a budget that has done nothing but tinker around the edges, and in that tinkering has done nothing to address the real issues for New Zealanders. There are no jobs, there is nothing in there to increase our exports, and there is nothing in there to raise incomes for New Zealanders. We have members opposite telling us what a wonderful track record they have in government. But the reality, Mr. Speaker, is that this government has the worst growth record in 50 years. This is not something to be proud of. There's more than 50,000 people leaving for Australia and a 52% increase in unemployment, with nearly 50,000 more people on benefits. How can they herald this as a triumph? What is more, there was absolutely nothing in the budget that we heard for the 87,000 young people that have been thrown on the scrap heap by this government, the 87,000 young people who are not in education, employment or training. But this budget did do some tinkering around the edges, but in doing that tinkering, it has created some sharp edges for young people. It's increased their class sizes. It's jeopardised their right to a good education. It has taxed children. Now, this is just something that is beyond belief, that this was what the national government could come up with as an idea. When they looked and thought, what are we going to do to fix our economy? They actually thought that cutting tax credits for children was the right thing to do and the way to fix the economy. They have issued disincentives for postgraduate study, and they have lowered incomes for graduates in New Zealand. All these four measures amount to more of our young people getting on jet planes and leaving. This is a budget and a government that does not understand education and its importance to New Zealand. It is an anti-education government, and it is an anti-education budget that was delivered. It doesn't understand the impact of what changing teacher ratios means. Well, I think Hekia Parata has found out pretty quickly over the last few days that changing teacher ratio actually means less teachers in our high schools, less classes being delivered, and lo and behold, students, parents and their teachers don't think that that is a good idea. We have a government that doesn't understand education at early childhood education level. We have a government that doesn't understand the worth and the need to invest in it. But their understanding does not stop here. Over and over again, we hear members opposite, and we've heard it today. We heard the rhetoric from Paul Hutchinson, and we hear it from the Prime Minister and the Minister of Everything, Stephen Joyce, all the time, that science and innovation are the major drivers of growth and international competition for New Zealand, and that we must invest in these areas. However, last week, a budget was delivered that undermines our very ability to do that at every level. Let's start with the staffing cuts for technology subjects for Year 7 and 8 students. Previously, National had seen the worth in teaching technology to young New Zealanders. In fact, John Key in 2007 said that National was committed to working with industry and teachers to make it easier for schools to find, pay and employ people to take their trades and technology classes. He went on to say that National was also committed to helping schools overcome the funding and bureaucratic barriers that prevent so many students from accessing trades and industry-based education at school. Well, we didn't find this in Budget 2012, did we? No, instead what we found were cuts in this area. In Labour, we know that the food technologists, the scientists, the engineers, the designers and the builders that we need for this creative and innovative 21st century New Zealand get their start in the very classrooms that this government is axing. This is where it begins. And it's not just we in Labour that knows this, industry knows this as well. We've had the Industry Training Federation come out and remind members opposite, it's reminded the government that it is in Year 7 and 8 that pupils start to think about their career in technology classes, and losing these technology classes could take away potential career options. Principals and teachers know this. We've heard if we want to set up our students for careers in biotechnology, engineering or research, we need to set those foundations early on. We don't wait until Year 10 or 11 to start teaching kids literacy and numeracy. So why is it that we have a government opposite that thinks that we can have an economy that is based on science, it is based on technology and it is based on innovation, but we don't start teaching those very skills till kids get to high school? This is not a government that understands the value of education. It is not a government that really understands the role that innovation can play in our economy. A principal in my electorate has told me, well actually he's told every parent of the students, that these staffing reductions are unacceptable. It is denying students valuable skills, knowledge and attitudes to develop them into competent and capable adults of the future. So here's a question for members opposite. How does your policy of cutting funding at this level, your slashing of funding for technology teachers, either A, set up our kids for a brighter future, or B, contribute to New Zealand having a 21st century economy based on science, research and innovation? Well, the answer is nothing. Well, National is making sure that even if someone, even after getting through an intermediate school where there was no technology and science taught, say they get to university and do a science degree and decide they might like to go on and do some post-grad study. Well, they're actually making sure they can kill your hope and aspiration there too by taking away student allowances for people going on to do postgraduate study. If we don't invest in this vital area of postgraduate study, we will have no innovation and we will not have a chance of creating the higher paying jobs that National talks about but does nothing to invest in. There is no use throwing $166 billion into the development of an advanced technology institute and smothering the human capital needed to grow this institute in the future. For our future to be reliant on technology and innovative manufacturing, we need the technologists, we need the engineers, and we need the scientists. And all we have seen from members opposite is policy that is going to destroy this human capital. And then even if you manage to get through all that and you're a young person in New Zealand in the future, you've got through your cut technology classes, you've gone on, you've done your own postgrad, paid for your own postgrad studies, well then your income is going to fall because you're going to be asked to pay back your student loan at a rate that outstrips other countries in the OECD. This is not a budget that is invested in our education system. This is not a budget that is invested in our young people. In fact, it is a raid. It has cut hope and opportunity, and it is driving more and more of our young people onto jet planes, and it will continue to do so in the future. The young people are starting to fight back. They want more for the future. I'd like members opposite to give them a choice that is a bit broader than Melbourne, Sydney or Brisbane. Thank you.
Kanwal Bakshi.